Defense. Rebound.
Welcome to Timeout with Coach Mike Miller. Coach Miller is the basketball coach with the most wins in LACC history, coaching his teams to a national record of 14 straight conference championships, breaking UCLA's old record of 13. Coach Miller is the first basketball coach in California basketball history to win a state championship at both the high school and college levels. Coach Miller has been honored as Coach of the Year 18 times and has produced almost 100 Division I players. For the next 2 hours, get ready for stats, facts, rants, and your opportunity to chat with one of the most successful basketball coaches in the entire country and his friends. Timeout with Coach Mike Miller.
Hey, we're back. We are live for another episode. This is Timeout with Coach Miller. And Scott, are we good to go there in the sound room?
Yeah, we're all good to go.
Nice. So I always start off every week by welcoming my team. My team tonight consists of Scott in doing the engineering.
What's up?
Okay, Scott, good to see you. You're starting to become a regular on the show now.
Yeah, it feels good to be here.
Okay. Well, you had a slow day today on Friday?
Yeah, like slow personal day.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You ready for a little action tonight?
Yeah, I am. Let's do it.
Okay. Our phone number is 1-800-893-9562. If you have a question or you want to call in, it's 1-800-893-9562. Okay. The rest of my team tonight, we've got Clarence Jackson over here. Clarence?
Hey.
Good to have you back.
Good to be here.
You had your big debut last week on the show.
Yep.
And how was that for you?
I liked it. It was fun.
Okay, good. You did a good job.
I tried.
You had we had a guest last week for the whole 2-hour block, and his name was Herman Few.
Mm-hmm.
And so you held down the fort with me with Herman Few, who was a sports psychologist, and he was good, but you did a great job helping me out with that. So you're back on the air. You're part of the team now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got one other member of the team who's on his way up. One of my favorite former power forwards. In fact, I think where is he? I'm talking about him right now, and I think he's texting me, Clarence. Let me see. Where is he? Oh, he says he's parking now. Okay, so that means he's on his way up.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite former players and starting power forwards, Chris Maxwell. He's a big guy. You've seen how big he is.
Yeah.
He's a bouncer sometimes. And he's a bouncer at a bar in Glendale. He keeps those white people in line over there, because he's a big dude. But he's on his way up. And last week he wasn't here because he was bouncing. I think he was bouncing people's heads instead of bouncing basketballs.
I bet.
So, but you've been on the show with Chris before. Last week was your debut on the air, but you've been here on the show helping out for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
So you've seen Chris. He does a great job, and he's on his way up. So, and we've got two great guests tonight, and I'm excited to have both of them on. They're both really good people and interesting people. And I think our first guest tonight, I go back with for maybe about, I don't know, I want to say maybe 6 or 8 years, something like that. Huh, Jesse?
Yeah, I think that'd be about right. First time I met Coach Miller, it was a handshake before a basketball game.
Okay.
Before he kicked my butt for the next 40 minutes of college basketball action. But I had a couple chances to get back at him in my coaching career, but, man, he had some good teams.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, when your co-host walks up, Chris, what was the
Maxwell.
When Chris Maxwell walks up, I can promise you when I was a community college coach, I had nobody that looked like Chris Maxwell on my team.
Well, Chris played for me in high school.
Oh, did he? Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Chris goes back. Chris is probably older than you, Coach.
All right.
Okay. Chris and I go back like 25 years. Okay. So I think I coached Chris about 25 years ago. And we won a state championship in high school at Rebay Academy. Clarence, did you ever play against Rebay Academy?
Never.
Never?
Never.
Clarence, where'd you go to high school?
Morningside.
Morningside. Okay.
And I thought, let me see. Let me think about it for a minute. How many years were you at Morningside?
All 4.
All 4 years?
Mm-hmm.
And how many years did you play?
Varsity?
Yeah.
I played varsity 1 year. The year before this year, I was on it. Then I left and went to JV.
Oh, okay. Because I've seen Morningside play Rebay Academy before. I've seen that game, but maybe you didn't see that game. Or maybe they only played varsity. Maybe they didn't. Rebay didn't maybe have a JV. But Chris played for me at Rebay Academy, and he held down he took care of the paint. He was a big dude. When he gets in here after the first commercial break, we'll put him on the spot and we'll ask him if he remembers anything about his high school career. But I'm excited to have you, Jesse, on the show tonight. Jesse Oh, see, I blew it already. Jesse Teplitsky.
Yeah, it's a mouthful.
It's a mouthful. Yeah. I blew it already. See, I had it twice. I had it perfect, Clarence, before we got on the air, and then I blew it on the air.
Well, it's like pregame warm-ups. You know, for years as a coach, you'd go out and you'd watch your team warm up. And I was always one of those guys, and Clarence, maybe you can understand this. I'd try to evaluate my guys during the warm-up. And I'd think to myself, hey, they look focused. They're ready to go. And then they'd go out and play like crap. Or just the opposite would happen, where they're sloppy, they're throwing the ball over the gym, they don't look focused, and I'm thinking, oh, we're going to get killed. And then they come out and play well. So I talked to a veteran coach, an older guy, Denny I know you know him, Coach Miller.
Yep.
And I told him about, I can't watch these goddamn guys warm up anymore. They're driving me crazy. And he said, don't. Just stay in the locker room till there's about 3 minutes left on the warm-up clock, then just come out and coach your team. Yeah, you're going to drive yourself crazy. That was a good piece of advice.
Yeah, that is good advice.
In the warm-ups, you got my name well, but that doesn't, I've learned from experience, warm-ups don't necessarily translate to the game.
Yeah, you're right. Warm-ups don't translate to the game. But I think, and now that we're talking a little basketball philosophy, and I enjoy doing that, I think pregame warm-ups are essential to a successful game. And I'm really stringent about the warm-ups that we do before a game and how hard we do them. I think players should break a sweat before the game so that when they start the game, it's as if they've already played, okay? I think that's really important. And then the second thing is, say that again, Chris?
I said I can attest to that.
I can't even hear you. I don't know if you're mic'd up or not. Let me see. Is your mic plugged in?
I can attest to that.
There you go. Now I can hear you. And you know what you can attest to? You can attest to a lot of things because you're a big individual. And I've been talking about you before you got here. When I introduced our team, I always introduce the team when I start, Chris, the show.
Right.
And I introduced you as one of my favorite starting former power forwards.
I'm on it.
And Coach Jesse over here, he was like, oh, well, I probably never had any players as big as Chris when I was at Santa Monica College. And I had to correct him. I said, well, Chris played for me in high school.
Yeah.
And I said, that was like maybe 25 years ago.
Going on.
Yeah. I said, I bet you Chris is older than you, Coach. We don't want to.
I'll tell you right now, if I saw Chris in a bar bouncing, and he asked me to get out of there at 1:45, I'd say yes, sir. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't this big in high school. It was just when I discovered the joys of cooking and beer, and then that kind of attributed to it. But I'm in the gym right now, trying to lose something. So.
But you were big though in high school. You were big and mean, and you played really mean in the paint.
Well, I mean. What was I when I graduated? 215 around there. So
yeah, but that's big. That's big for a high school kid.
Yeah, I was.
How much do you weigh, Clarence?
146.
Okay. Yeah, you see what I'm saying?
I had a little size on me.
Clarence is a senior, and I mean, you were 215's big for a high school kid, right, Coach?
That's real big. Yeah.
So, I mean, you're probably a little more than 215 now.
Oh yeah. We're not gonna go there, but yeah, add a little bit more to there.
Yeah, but that helps you keep your job, right?
Yeah, well, it actually helps me keep a couple of my jobs because the catering, you never trust a skinny chef. So
Yeah, that's true.
That helps.
Yeah.
And, bouncing because I do bounce at a bar a couple nights a week. So it helps there too. So
yeah, I told him, I said, you keep those white people in line in Glendale. That's what I said.
Yeah, it's it's a chill spot, but every now and then, somebody gets a little testy. They had a little bit too much to drink, and you just have to tap them on the shoulder and say hi.
Tap on the shoulder, yeah. Okay, I'm picking up what you're laying down. I'm picking it up. So anyway, now you guys know Chris Maxwell, the final member of my team. I've got Scott in the sound booth. I've got Clarence across the lane over here, and Clarence is becoming a really good guard. By the way, I'm talking about out of this studio. He's becoming a really good guard, but in the studio. Clarence Chris made his debut last week on the air. Okay. And he did a great job because, remember, you weren't here. You had to work.
Right.
And I had a guest in for 2 hours, one guest, and Clarence really held it down. He really stepped up. Yeah, he really stepped up.
Might have a feature in this and get paid at this later on in life.
So, and I thank God that you're back, Chris, because the show is not the same without you. In fact, I've gotten a lot of compliments from listeners and actually a couple of emails from listeners saying that of all of my, normal kind of special guest co-hosts, that by far you're the best, and that they like you on the show because you and I, when we start to talk, we kind of flow well together, and it just works really well.
I think we've interacted together because we've known each other for so long. So
yeah,
I think that helps.
yeah, you could be right. But anyway, let's get to our guest tonight. We have two guests, Chris and Coach Jesse Teplitsky.
Very good.
I nailed it.
Yeah, nice.
Jesse Teplitsky is here. He has something that's really unique, the Professional Basketball Academy. Jesse is a former professional basketball coach, and he was a head coach in Mexico on the top league, which is the LNBP league.
That's correct, yep.
And I've had a lot of players play in that league. Ramel Beck.
Yeah.
Michael. You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Michael Johnson played down there, made a big name for himself before he went over to Russia and Israel and stuff. Okay. I've had some other guys play in that league. I think Tony Key played in that league. I've had a lot of guys play in that league, actually. It's a good league.
It is a good league. Like a lot of professional leagues overseas, especially, the LNBP I would call a mid-level league. It pays guys fairly well. It's not one of the top international leagues, but it's not one of the worst international leagues.
That's right.
It's somewhere in the middle. And with a lot of those leagues, there's teams that really do it right. And for example, Ramel played on a team that does it right. They pay their players well. It's a first-class organization. And then there's a handful of teams that they struggle financially. You hear stories about guys not getting paid when they're supposed to get paid and things like that. But most, and the team I coached with was somewhere there in the middle. They had no financial problems. It was a solid organization, but they just didn't have a ton to pay players. But the league, the top, I would say 3/4 of the teams are doing it right, and it's a good league.
Good.
Now, there's 3 or 4 teams where if a kid came to me and said, hey, I've been offered a contract by such and such team, I would say be careful, because
you might not
knowing
get
their
paid.
owners, you may not get paid on time, if at all, and whatever.
I've heard a lot about not so much the Mexican league, but like overseas also, that where they don't it's not guaranteed. It's not. There's a lot of, I don't want to say shady, but there's a lot of things that can go wrong with playing in those leagues if you're not careful.
Yeah, I think that's true. And first of all, here in this country, we're used to the professional sports where money's guaranteed.
Right.
You sign a contract, and they're going to honor that contract in some form or another.
Right.
But there, you may come in, and I've seen it happen dozens of times. You may come in for 2 weeks, have a contract, and after 2 weeks, they don't like you. They send you home, and you're not going to be getting paid anything off of that contract. They're just sending you home.
Right.
That's a tough life. And that's and I think Coach Miller and I have definitely had a lot of these players, and Clarence, you'll play with some, and Chris, I'm sure you have some fellow, old teammates or whatever been through it, is there's a lot of players that are very good that can play after college professionally somewhere.
Right.
There's very few that can play in the elite leagues, the EuroLeague, the NBA,
Right.
and so forth. But for those players that are good enough to play somewhere, but maybe not good enough to go to a place where you're going to have guaranteed money, guaranteed contracts, and that kind of thing, it is a game that you have to enter, and you have to know the rules of the game. You really have to understand the ins and outs. And Coach mentioned this academy I'm doing, and that's one of the things we're focusing on is I'm going to help get you ready to play at that level, but also, use me as a soundboard, as a guy that has had good and bad experiences at the professional level. Let's make sure you get to the right spot.
Sort of a mentor, but also more than a mentor, someone who's a consultant sort of in a way too. That's what you are. But moreover, you're training them. I mean, you're a real coach. You've coached professional basketball. So you're training them to be prepared to go and play.
Right.
Okay. And so Jesse Teplitsky's Professional Basketball Academy is really a great tool to get trained, to get ready to go play across seas or in some professional league somewhere. And we're going to talk a little bit more about this in more detail when we come back from our first commercial break. But before we do, I want to give out our phone number again. It's 1-800-893-9562. If you have a call, you want to call in the show, or you have a question for Jesse about his basketball academy, or obviously for me, Coach Miller, about something about our show, then you call in 1-800-893-9562. Let's take a really, really quick commercial break, Scott. And when we come back, we'll delve a little more in depth into the Professional Basketball Academy that you're embarking on and starting, Jesse. Okay?
Sounds great.
Here we go. It's Coach Miller. I'm here to tell you about the best Chinese food I've ever had. It is in the Los Feliz area of Los Angeles. That's right. It's called The Palace. The Palace Los Feliz, located at 2112 Hillhurst Avenue. Their phone number for any orders over the phone to go or to be delivered locally is 323-667-1595. If you go in to eat, make sure you go on a Friday or Saturday night when they have live entertainment. Ask for Tony, the owner. Tell him Coach Miller sent you. You'll get a free dessert with your meal. That's right. How can you go wrong? You'll have the best Chinese food you've ever had, and you'll get a free dessert if you say that Coach Miller sent you. The Palace, 2112 Hillhurst Avenue. I eat there every week. I love it, and you will too.
Team made a dream with this basketball. Coach Miller on the court, and we going hard. Pass the rock to the paint. I give it my all to be like Chris Paul. Shoot the 3-point, y'all. Look, it's time out with Coach Miller. 14 straight conference championships. We winners. It don't stop from the bottom to the ceiling. Cause all I know is win, and we winning. Full focus, we got a topic to discuss. High school, prep school, small colleges, yup. Another special guest today, listen up. It might get a little hectic from the stuff we discuss.
You guys ready? Okay, we're back. We're live. We are on the air. Hey, Scott, you got us back safe and sound here.
Yeah, that's my job.
Okay, I appreciate it. Now, we're here with our first guest, which is Coach Jesse Teplitsky. And he's got this really great thing going called the Professional Basketball Academy that he's just started up, and it's a good service because it helps players prepare for the opportunity to play professional basketball and to play overseas. Now, this academy, Coach, you're launching this, and you're going to be starting up next month, the beginning of June, right?
That's correct.
So, as I look at your schedule, you're going to be training the players in June, in July, and August, and then partly in September. And then you go on a Mexican tour in early to mid-September where the players are gone with you for 9 or 10 days. They're going to play 6 games against the professional teams in Mexico.
Right. So this is something, the tour part of it, not the academy, but the tour part of it, this is something I did 3 or 4 years ago.
We have a call. Keep going.
And off of this tour we did 3 or 4 years ago, we had 8 or 9 players that participated, went down with me through Mexico. We played exhibition games against pro teams. And what happened is 5 of our 9 guys got signed to contracts down there, which was, I thought if we got 1 or 2, it might be a great deal, but we got 5. And I think the whole key was that coaches, general managers, teams got to see kids in person.
Right.
Everybody sends out their film. Everybody sends out their profile, their resume. But to have somebody in front of you is the best possible exposure you could get.
Absolutely.
And so I'm going to do the tour again, but I would encourage any player, agent, whoever who's out there listening, coach who has a guy that they have in mind for this, get on board now, because I really need these guys in the academy from the beginning leading up to this tour in order to make sure, you know, they're ready to go on this deal.
Okay, because first of all, you want to make sure they're ready to go and perhaps play good enough to get a contract.
Right.
Okay. This can lead to something really big for these players. Now, these are for players that have exhausted their college eligibility already. Like I can't put Clarence in and put him down there yet, right? I mean, he's got to play in college first.
Right. I mean, it's for people that are willing to give up their eligibility, certainly, because you're going to be down there amongst professionals and you're going to lose your amateur status.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Now, what we want to see happen with this is the players that maybe need help to go pro come to you, join your basketball academy, sign up. It's really a nominal fee. It's like $275 a month.
That's right.
They're going to sign up. They're going to do June, July, August. Then they get to go on this trip, Clarence, to Mexico that is also part of this. So June, July, August, September, that's a great deal. They get to go to Mexico for 9 or 10 days and play 6 games and have a chance to go pro playing against these other teams. And the reason why I asked you is, remember I brought Coach Jesse in down to the prep school for a couple of times. And I think he helped you once, didn't he? Wasn't he there when you were there working out?
Uh-huh.
And so he's a really good teacher. I think he worked with you for a short period of time, and I think he was a good teacher.
Yeah, he was teaching us what we can do in our spare time when we're getting water and we want to shoot around to be how organized it can be and get more shots up at the same time.
Yeah, and he's got some good little pointers and tricks and tips like that I think are really valuable. And the reason why I asked you is because I think you experienced that.
Yep.
And so I look at Coach Jesse and his basketball academy as a great opportunity because, Chris, I see him mentoring these young professional players and trying to prepare them for maybe what they need to do to get picked up on a team and also what they need to do to stay on a team.
Right. Now, do you only go to Mexico or do you go to any other countries like that have, pretty popular Costa Rica, Dominican Republic, Argentina, Brazil?
Yeah, I think it's something we'll do in the future. No question about it. And what I'd like to do as a long-term vision is the league in Mexico is a little unique because it starts early. It starts mid to late September.
Okay.
And it goes through December, January, depending on how deep you go in the playoffs. Well, if your season ends in December, there's a lot of basketball being played around the world still. Right. So, for example, a lot of the players I coached down there would go on and play in a 3-month league in Puerto Rico, or they'd play in the Dominican League, or there's kind of a spring second division league in Mexico. So they could kind of double dip because this was a unique early start, early finish league. And so what I'd like to do is fast forward into the, early spring next year, start it again, and maybe do a tour to some of these late starting leagues.
Right.
Come back, do a few months in the summer, then do the tour for the fall starting leagues. But I think it's definitely something I have a vision of doing is expanding that. Now, what I did as a coach when I coached professionally in Mexico is every spring when I had this free time, I really made an effort to educate myself, go out and make some contacts internationally. And the first year I was down there, after our season ended, I went down to Brazil, and I basically sat on a coach's bench for the last 3 months of their season, learned from them, met some of the coaches down there, made some contacts. The next spring I went to Spain and was in their basically what I'd call their third level professional league, which is actually probably better than Mexico's top level.
Right.
But and again, same thing, met with a coach, followed him around, met some of the other coaches in the league. And this was all part of, for me, just networking and learning from other coaches. At the time, I didn't have this idea of an academy.
Right.
But now that we've gotten this thing started, it's only going to serve to help the guys I work with in terms of the contacts.
Now to touch on something that you we talked about before we went to break. When they do go over, like if they go to Mexico or overseas, now do they have an agent that can help them out, or do you act as their agent?
Well, from a financial standpoint, I'd love to act as their agent for obvious reasons because you're getting that commission. But I don't really want to be an agent. And the genesis of this academy really came from an agent who was sending me players to work out. And he was saying, listen, I've got a few borderline players. I want to get them ready. Can you work out my guys? And I'll pay you to work out my clients.
Right.
Now, if I turned around and tried to sell them to a team and take the commission, I mean, that'd really be double crossing a guy, right? And so I don't want to do that, first of all, because I want agents to say to their clients, hey, Coach T, who coached in Mexico, who has contacts all over the world, he's running an academy. You're my client. I'm telling you right now, you go join his academy because that's how you're going to get a job. I don't want to be a guy where an agent's saying, don't go there because he's going to try to double cross me. I don't want to do that. But I'm hoping agents will send guys to my
academy. Chris, it's really common. I remember when we had our guy Norvell Pell last year from LA Prep who was, doing some NBA workouts and was actually invited to the NBA pre-draft camp in Chicago, which was a big honor for him, really, and for us. He had his agents hired guys to work him out,
right?
And they had a weight coach working him out, and then they had a basketball trainer guy working him out. And in fact, we had his basketball trainer on the show at one point, many months ago. We had Terrell Jamerson on the show, who works out a lot of guys for a lot of agents, a lot of NBA guys, and he's really a good workout guy. Hey, before we go any further, let me take this call. I've got a call that's called in. Scott, go ahead and put him on the air. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead, caller. Scott,
hey, how you doing, Coach?
Put him through. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, how you doing, Coach? This is Herman.
I'm doing great. Is this Herman Few?
Yes, sir.
Herman was our guest last week. Clarence, say hi to Herman.
What's up, Herman?
Hey, how you doing, Clarence?
Good.
We had you on last week. It was great to have you on, and actually, Coach Jesse Teplitsky was scheduled for last week, Herman, and we moved him to this week. And so it's great to have you back on the show, but not in person, but on the air.
Yeah, I had a good time last week, and I thought about you guys, and I just decided to call in.
I appreciate it. Anything new going on from last week to this week?
Nothing new. I talked to a couple of coaches, that type of thing, but pretty much everything's pretty much the same. Just working on some things, trying to make some things happen.
Okay. Now, before we let you go, I always like to ask you a question or two, and I'm not going to do a big interview, but I want you to engage. Remember last week we did some role playing with you and Clarence about, if it was a student athlete that wasn't getting enough playing time, or if he was frustrated. You remember that, Clarence?
Yep.
And Herman, you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now what I want you to do, Herman, before I let you go, is I want to put you on the spot on this little question real quick. So, how important is communication for the student athlete, and why is it important?
Well, communication, if it's not number one, it's a close number two, but it's everything. And as we covered last week, there's such thing as communication and successful communication. And there's a difference. And a lot of guys think they're communicating, but they're not really doing it in a successful or positive manner. So it's important that you're doing it the right way.
So communication is not enough. It has to be successful communication.
Correct.
Gotcha. Okay, what are some elements of successful communication? Just real quick, give me a couple elements of that.
Well, it's look for proper body language, and it's also not having a preconceived notion before you start talking and communicating. So being open, being able to receive whatever the other person, in this case, if we're talking about the coach talking to a player, the player being able to receive the information from the coach so they can improve themselves, so they can make adjustments, stuff of that nature.
Okay, I like that. Any other pointers for communicating for the student athlete? I mean, I get the body language thing, and I get the being open and open-minded to listening, but any other, how important is it that the student athlete, takes the communication seriously and engages and is responsive with the whole process? How important is that?
Well, that's very important. And you want to do it in a mature fashion. I mean, if you have ideas or thoughts or feelings, don't be afraid to share them. In fact, I would suggest you have to share them, but you want to do it in a positive, constructive manner, in a respectful manner. And I think most coaches would appreciate that. It's important to share what's on your mind. If you have ideas with regard to things that you think are going to make you a better player, share those with the coach, and then find out from the coach what they say. Perhaps the happy medium.
I like that. I like that. You always have good practical advice, Herman. I enjoyed having you on the show last week. Clarence, do you have anything for Herman before we let him go?
Not really. I took some of his advice, and when he was telling me, when I gave him examples of what I'd done personally and the truth, and got advice, and it actually works.
So that's good to hear, right, Herman?
Yep.
Okay. Well, I appreciate your calling in. We're gonna stay in touch, and we'll hook up off the air.
Sounds good, Coach.
Okay. Thanks for the call.
Oh, you're welcome. You guys take care.
Okay. Well, you guys, Chris, you missed a great guest last week.
Yeah.
Herman Few, he's studying to get his doctorate in psychology.
Okay.
And he's from Southern California, Long Beach area, Lakewood area, but he went to John F. Kennedy School of Psychology in Northern California, which is, Jesse, you've been up there. That's a well-known school.
It is, yeah.
Top-notch school of psychology. And soon we'll be calling him Dr. Herman Few. But he specializes in sports psychology, which is really awesome, I think. And he helped Clarence last week. We did some role playing. I kind of, would ask him questions, and then I'd put them on the spot, and our listeners were able to hear that. It was really nice.
Well, I can tell you, just listening to him there, I think back to situations I've had as a coach. We all think of communication as speaking.
That's right.
You tell your players to communicate, and then they start saying defense or help over and over or whatever it is. And, but really a lot of it's just learning how to listen. Mm-hmm. And I think coaches are as guilty as players on this a lot. But, what I used to tell guys is it's all about time and place. It's all about time and place communication. For me, at least it was. Have you had this, Coach Miller? I'm sure you have, but the guy who just will not let you make your point. He just will not let you coach him. He's always got an answer, always has something to say. And my point is not that I didn't want to hear from him, but that there was a time and place.
Right.
If it was in the heat of the moment, it's during a game, it's during a practice, and I coach you, you just got to learn this is the most important move in basketball, more important than the crossover, more important than any move you'll ever make, Clarence. I'm going to teach you something about basketball right now. This is the most important move in basketball. Nodding your head, yes. That is the most important move in basketball.
I actually learned that this season.
Okay, good. Because basically during a game, during a practice, during a coaching situation, just nod your head, even if you don't agree with a guy. Now, can you have your moment where you can come into the office or see him after practice and say, hey, coach, I heard what you're saying, but, I saw this guy there. That's why I didn't do this. Or I thought he was going to get that rotation. That's why I didn't go. Whatever it is. And now, if at that point the coach isn't receptive, that's on him. But if you can nod your head in that heat of the moment and know the time and place,
first of all,
is that big.
First of all, this is just another example of why if I was a young guy who wanted to be a pro, I would sign up and get involved with Coach Jesse Teplitsky's Professional Basketball Academy, because that's the kind of pointer that you're not going to find in very many places. That kind of pointer, Chris, where Coach tells that something that simple and that specific, just to nod your head, yes, that's important. Now, Clarence, how did you learn that this year since Coach brought that up?
How did I learn? I learned from when you talk back. Even if you think you're right or you know you're right, you still don't win it, because the coach, at the end of the day, the coach is the overpowering, and he's the one that can put you in the game. So anything you say back or say wrong, it's just going bad on you, even though you're trying to prove a point.
Right.
So it's better to just nod your head and keep your thoughts to yourself.
So did you learn that on your own, or did someone tell you that?
I actually learned it on my own.
Okay. Now, I want to point out, you're not old enough yet. You're 19. You're not old enough to be in the Professional Basketball Academy. But I have a feeling in a couple years after you're done playing in college that you're going to make a run to try to play in pro. And this will be an academy that you'll get to sign up for. Now, think about this, though, Clarence. If someone had taught you that, like Coach is saying, and you didn't have to learn that on your own, how valuable would that have been to say no a year before?
Very valuable. I probably would have stayed on varsity and maybe started, or I'd be sixth string.
And, just to kind of piggyback on that point, I think as coaches, and I'm sure Herman would say the same thing as a sports psychologist, you hope that you're teaching basketball lessons, but you're really teaching life lessons.
Absolutely.
And
I'm going to bring Chris into this conversation in a minute, but go ahead and make your point.
Okay, so my point is, the coach has something to say, you don't agree, but you nod your head and you pick your time and spot. Okay, you get pulled over for speeding. The cop comes to the window. You may think you did nothing wrong, and maybe he pulled you over because of the color of your skin or because how you looked or whatever it is. But if you start expressing that to him, that is going to escalate into a bad situation.
Right.
But
so in other words, wrong time and place.
Exactly.
What you were saying.
Now, do you have an opportunity? Do you have your day in court? Can you go in there in front of a judge and say, "Hey, here's what happened"?
Right.
You will get your day in court. Now, the justice system isn't perfect. Maybe that's not but that's the example. Is okay in that moment. Probably best to nod your head and take the ticket from this. You know what? I was about to drop that word. From this guy, it's from this jerk. And get your day in court and prove them wrong.
And you know what? The last
talk back.
The last 3 times I went to court on a speeding ticket, I won all 3 times.
Same here.
I won all 3 times, and the cop walked out of the court just with his head down and embarrassed, and I beat him all 3 times, really bad. I beat him.
If you're right, you usually rightness, being in the position of right wins out. Right. And you just have to have that inner discipline to say, all right, I'm going to keep my mouth shut right now, but I'm going to have my day. And the same thing goes for being coached. Like, all right, I know I didn't miss my rotation, but I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'll have a time to go talk to the coach.
Right. Now, what I want to bring Chris on into is this, because Chris has a lot of really good life experience. I think he's older than you, Coach, by the way. I think
36.
I'm not.
Yeah, I'm older than you.
Yeah, I wasn't going to make Chris say his age on the air.
Hey, I'm happy. I just turned 42 a couple months ago, so I'm happy.
Okay. So Chris has a lot of really good life experience, and he's been through many ups and downs. And Chris is a really smart guy. Okay, sometimes, Chris, you might have been too smart for your own good.
Yes.
Because you were actually more intelligent than most of the teachers you had. You were actually more intelligent than most of the coaches you had. Maybe all the coaches. at least a few I know. But what I know is I want to bring you into what Coach just said, that tying in the life lessons with the basketball lessons and how that works together in terms of, as a coach, I always gave you rules to play by.
Right.
We'd always do a 2-foot jump stop. You remember that?
Right.
Okay. We'd always do a shot fake. We'd always dribble the ball a certain way.
Right.
Okay. So there's certain rules I had for you to play by.
Right.
And I want you to comment and bring in the full circle thing about, what Coach is saying about trying to tie the basketball rules into the life rules.
Well, the main thing, and I was going to say this earlier, is that, when you're talking about, there's a time and a place, you can't listen when you're talking. You know what I mean? That's the main thing. Yeah. You know what I mean? When excuse me, especially when you're trying to coach somebody, you can't listen if you're talking. And, like you just said, the coach is the ultimate authority on the court. So, you have to kind of go with, because he could see things that you can't. I mean, we have our blind spots as a player. I mean, as a person, you have your blind spots. So this is something I learned like later on, is like, there are things you may not see that somebody else might see that could help you out. You know what I mean? They could point out your blind spots. Now, it's up to you to take that and take it for whatever it's worth. But, they might have saw something that you didn't see. You can't see everything.
There's a blind spot when you're driving your car.
Right.
That if you make a lane change without turning around to see, if you're just relying on the mirror, that's a blind spot, right?
Right.
And how many times have you seen accidents happen?
Oh, man. I mean, I almost got into one the other day. I was in my cousin's truck, and his truck is so high up, I didn't see the car behind me, and I backed up and almost backed into him. Because it was a blind spot. You know what I mean? Now, if there was somebody else in the car with me, they might have seen it. But I didn't see it, you know what I mean, until it was too late. And then I just happened to stop just short of hitting them. So, that's a blind spot. So
that's a metaphor for
life.
For life, in a way. And so what I want to tie back into is, see, Clarence was able to learn something this year on his own that Jesse is teaching in the Professional Basketball Academy. So Clarence is great that he could learn this as a senior and 19 years old. Clarence, it's great you could learn that on your own. That's really wonderful and to be commended. But again, if you didn't learn that on your own, this is something these are the little vignettes that you give the student athletes, or I guess they're basically just athletes now. Yep. Because they're pros in your Professional Basketball Academy. Now, if you want to learn a little bit more about this, you do have a website. It's the asibasketball.com website.
It's asibasketball.com. That ASI stands for Advanced Scouting International, which is a company I started about a year ago, and it kind of services both bringing international kids from overseas here to play in colleges and high schools, but also on the back end when they're done with their careers, sending them back out to play professionally as a part of this basketball academy. So it's asibasketball.com.
asibasketball.com. Yep. And if they want to call you instead of going on a website, because not everybody, like me, I'm a little old-fashioned. I like to just sometimes call. That number is 310-741-2261, and that is the contact number for Coach Jesse Teplitsky and his Professional Basketball Academy. Now,
how many kids do you have in your academy right now?
Well, it starts June. I mean, so we're just launching it now. Okay. So we'll see June 1st how many walk through the doors, but I'm expecting anywhere from 10 to 15 guys.
Yeah,
which would be really, since I'm taking a tour group down, which would probably be a good number.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Because, Chris, the whole idea of the academy is to get these guys ready to play professional basketball and then take them down on this tour to Mexico, which I'm thinking, we should all go on, Chris. I mean, I'm thinking you, me, Clarence, and Scott. Scott, are you ready for a 9-day tour in Mexico in September?
Let's do it.
I mean, Chris, what do you think?
I mean,
I mean, this might be fun. We
Yeah.
go watch Jesse coach these guys and watch them. You know, some of them are going to probably get picked up to play down there professionally. Hey, I've got a call. Let me take this call. Caller, you're on the air. Caller, go ahead. You're on the air.
How you doing, Coach?
I'm doing really, really good. Who is it?
Skip.
Skip. You know, Skip, did you play professional basketball?
I did. You know I did.
Where did you play at, Skip?
I played over there in Germany for about 4 years.
Okay. Are you still ready and able to play?
Oh, well, you know, I mean, I think I am. I mean, it's not how I used to look, but I can still hold my own.
Well, Skip, if you were a smart guy, you would get down to Coach Jesse Teplitsky's Professional Basketball Academy. They're based in Compton, right, Jesse?
Well, you know, we're gonna use your facility, thanks to you, to do a lot of this training. Your prep school facility there in Compton. That's where we'll base the academy at.
Yeah. So you're based in Compton.
Yeah.
Skip, you'd get to work out. You'd get training 3 times a week, and after 3 months, you'd be ready to go on this tour to play 6 professional teams in 9 days down in Mexico, and all of that is only $275 a month. Pretty good deal, huh?
That sounds like a lot of fun if I was really competitive and still playing.
Well, that's what I asked you when we started. Are you still ready to play?
Yeah, I know. No, you know, I'm a coach now. I'm doing great things with that.
Okay, so you're not ready to play. You're ready to coach.
I'm ready to be leader and mentor and impact people's lives through coaching now.
Okay, I like that.
That's great, Skip.
That's a great and noble goal. So, do you have a question for Coach Jesse and his academy, or a question for Coach Miller or anyone on our show?
Sure. Jesse, well, I have a question for you. First, you, Coach Miller. I want to first just let you know I'm proud of you and I'm happy to see what you're doing. And you know, I remember when I played for you. You know, you definitely never let me settle. So I just want to thank you for that. You always push me to my max. So I always let everybody know that you're a great motivator.
Well, I enjoyed having you, Skip. I remember when you came and played for me. I think I only had you for 1 year.
Right.
And you were on a great team that we had, and I think Coach Miller got you a really good scholarship, didn't I?
Well, you know, yes, you did. Yes, you did.
And you graduated at University of Hawaii, Hilo, and you were an All-American. I was so proud of you.
Oh, thank you. You know I had it in me. I mean, let's not act surprised. You know I was very capable, and even when I was lazy, you told me that I was always capable of doing more and pushing myself to be better. So going through your program definitely prepared me physically and mentally, and you know, so I was pretty much ready to be coached by anybody after I left the program.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that, Skip. You know, Chris Maxwell spent about 10 years living in Hawaii, and he's on the show with me. He's one of my special guest co-hosts, and so, but he didn't live in Hilo. You were in Hilo, the Big Island. That's where we sent you, right?
You played for Coach Law out there?
But yeah, my buddy, Coach Law.
Yeah, he's a good friend of mine. I used to be able to come watch his practices whenever he came to Oahu.
Oh, okay. Okay, so I probably met you then, Chris.
You might have. When did you play for him? What years?
I was out there from 02 to 05.
Okay, so maybe 02, because I was still coaching then. So, yeah, I probably did meet you. Because I probably did meet you.
Yeah.
Small world.
It is small, especially, you know, Coach Miller makes it smaller, you know.
Well, thank you, Skip. I appreciate that. Do you have a question for our guest before we let you go?
You know what? Actually, I don't. But whatever, the thing that you're doing in Compton, I mean, that's a great thing you're doing for kids that still have the dream to play the game and do good things with it. Hope the best for you and everything that you're doing for the kids for the tour in Mexico.
Well, thanks, Skip, and I'm sure you'll be by to see Coach Miller maybe down at the prep school, so I'd like to meet you and talk to you a little bit about your coaching career.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, Skip, it would be great to see you. When's the next time you're taking a trip down to L.A.?
I'll be down in L.A. This summer around July-ish. Around July. I'll be home for a little while.
Okay. I got to see you in July because I'm planning to be gone for the entire month of August. I want to take a cross-country trip in August in a motorhome and go to every state in the country. So I need to see you in July before I leave for August.
Okay, that's not a problem. I'll let you know as soon as I touch down and we can coordinate something to make it happen. But what you should do is take me with you on that cross-country trip because you and I both are Leos, and both our birthdays are in August.
You know what? That's a good point. We are both Leos, and you're just a little taller Leo than I am. You're about 6'6", 6'7".
Right.
Yeah. Okay, well, Skip, it's great to hear your voice. Thanks for calling the show, and I appreciate you listening. It's always great to have former players call in, especially successful ones like you. I'm so proud of you. You're doing a great job as a coach, and you did a great job as a player. I always before I let you go, I'm going to say this. When I sent you to Hawaii Hilo, before you left, I said, don't screw up. Don't do a bad job. Don't embarrass me because there's another guy I want to send after you. And you made it so easy because you were an All-American there. You averaged 19, 20 points a game. And when I called for the next guy to recommend him, it was like, they couldn't sign up my player fast enough because of what you did. And I really appreciate that, Skip. You didn't piss on someone else's parade because you were selfish and mean-spirited. You actually went in there and did a great job and made it possible for the next guy to come in behind you.
I appreciate that, Coach.
So I appreciate you, Skip. Thanks for calling. I'll talk to you again soon, okay?
Yep, definitely.
Okay. What a great call, Chris, to have a former player call in like that. And he was an All-American, Hawaii Hilo, and he really put in work. And, wow, what a great player. Hey, you know what? On that note, I'm going to have to take a little commercial break here. When we get back, we'll kind of wrap things up here with Coach Jesse Teplitsky and his professional basketball academy. But, let's go to break, Scott, run a couple commercials. When we come back, we'll have a little segment left with you, Jesse, and we'll talk a little more about what you're doing. This is Coach Miller, excited to tell you about the Student Athlete Lab. This is an NCAA-approved recruiting service. I'll tell you what, if you're a coach at a university or a junior college, you will want to join and get membership in the Student Athlete Lab. It's only $250 a year. Hey, but if you're a student athlete, it's free. Go to studentathlete.lab.org and you'll create a profile. You'll be part of this wonderful app called the Player Locator. This player locator allows any university coach to track you and know where you're playing and when you're playing next. This is revolutionary technology in use in basketball recruiting. You couldn't ask for anything more. Follow the Student Athlete Lab on Twitter at the SA Lab. You will not be disappointed. Join the Student Athlete Lab right away and don't miss out on being recruited.
Look, it's time out with Coach Miller. 14 straight conference championships, we winners. It don't stop from the bottom to the ceiling, cause all I know is win and we winning. Full focus, we got a topic to discuss. High school, prep school, small colleges, yup. Another special guest today, listen up. It might get a little hectic from the stuff we discuss.
Hey, it's Coach Miller. You're listening to my show, Time Out with Coach Miller. I want to talk to you today about my favorite car dealership located in beautiful Hollywood, California. It's called Gem Motors. Gem Motors is located at 5639 West Sunset Boulevard. If you want a high-end automobile, that's at a great price, whether it's a BMW, a Mercedes, a Jaguar, or a Porsche, go to my friends at Gem Motors. They have a beautiful indoor dealership located at 5639 West Sunset Boulevard, right across from Home Depot. Go see my friends at Gem Motors. Tell them Coach Miller sent you and get a special discount. The phone number is area code 323-962-9696. 323-962-9696.
Welcome to the 500 Club. We the best, my whole team tough. Close to 100 Division Ones I built up. Dedication and hard work. Step up to the court, I'm like, who ready to lose first? 14 times champs every year earned. Feet to the court, let me get in my zone. Hands grip to the ball, let me get in control. Non-stop, can't quit, that's a winner's quote. I'ma just keep doing me, hear the crowd as they cheer. 18 out of 19, coach of the year. Time out with Coach Miller, listen clear. 2 times a week, listen to me on the ear. Over 30 wins, it was for 4 straight years. First to win state my high school and college career. Over 30 wins, it was for 4 straight years. First to win state my high school and college career.
Okay, we're back. We're live. We are on the air. This is Time Out with Coach Miller. And Chris, we've had a good, good first half of our show. I guess we're really past our first half mark, but it's been active. It's been fun. It's a little bit hot too, huh?
Oh man, that's what the one thing I was dreading on coming down here, because I knew the AC would be off. So, if you hear that little hum in the background, we're trying to run the AC for a little bit because it's smoking in here.
Yeah, it's always hot in our studio. The problem is the AC messes up the microphones and stuff, and then people complain. But hey, they're going to have to complain a little bit. We'll be okay.
They turn off the AC in the building at 7:00, so we don't get here till 10, and 3 hours with no AC, and it's not good.
Yeah,
even during the wintertime when it's like 50 degrees outside, it's still hot.
It still gets
here.
warm in here.
Yeah, no question. We've got the bright lights and everything else going. So, we've been talking about your new endeavor, the Professional Basketball Academy. You're running it basically down out of Compton. You've got a good facility to use down there, and you're going to create opportunities for these young men to possibly play overseas and get picked up with a good contract.
Yeah, that's the idea, is to give these guys an opportunity at exposure that they wouldn't normally get. And I can accomplish this a couple of ways. First of all, I get hit up so much, whether it's Facebook or email or whatever it is, by guys who want me to help them get a job. But I don't know these guys. So I figured,
hard to recommend them, right?
Yeah, I mean,
when you don't know them.
They send me their profile. They want help. And, they want basically access to my database. They want access to the coaches I know, the general managers I know. But I'm just not going to give it to somebody that I don't know, that I haven't seen. And I said, listen, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start an academy. I'm going to work with guys, get to know them, help them get better. We'll go on a tour, and you're going to give yourself a chance. Certainly no guarantee, but you give yourself a heck of a chance by getting down and being seen.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Now, let me ask you this. You're going to start in June. It's basically a 4-month program. Culminates in September with the 9-day, 6-game tour in Mexico against the professional teams. And you've done this before, and you had a lot of success getting guys jobs, getting them picked up, with some pro contracts down in Mexico. Do you anticipate the same kind of thing could happen again?
I don't see why not. A couple of things I'll tell you about the last time I did a tour. And I know you may have another guest coming in tonight, so if you need to cut me off, feel free. But a couple of things. We've talked a little bit about communication tonight, about body language, about, how to be coachable, listen to your coach, nod in your head, picking time and place. When I went on the tour last time, there was also a group from San Diego on the same tour. Now, that group from San Diego had some very talented guys, some very good players. And but
Go ahead, Jess.
But some of those guys really played themselves out of contracts. They were good enough to play in that league in Mexico. And I won't name any specific names, but they played so poorly, just such a bad brand of basketball that nobody got picked off that group. I went down with my tour, and we went down just 2 days early, and we practiced twice a day for 2 days. Just put in some basic early offense stuff, which lanes to run in transition, some basic concepts on offense and defense, and just having that little bit of organization with us. I brought 9 guys down with me, and 6 of them got signed.
That's amazing.
It exceeded expectations.
That's like two-thirds of the players you had.
Yeah, and the story I tell that I like to tell is I had a kid at Santa Monica College named Art Braswell, and Art was a second-team all-conference in a league that's not a great community college league. At least it wasn't at that time when I coached there, and second-team all-league community college player, went on to play Division II. Listen, by all rights, and I don't think he'd be offended if he heard me say this, but he should not have been a pro player down in that league.
Okay.
Because he was a 6'4", undersized post. He was long and lanky, athletic, and I used him as a 4 at Santa Monica College. And, he worked on his game. He got better, and he went on this tour with me. But one thing he could do was defend. He had long arms, he could move his feet, and he could get through screens, slippery guy, and he could defend guys. When he was on that tour, he just locked down the best player on the professional team that we played against these exhibition games. And he was so good at that one thing that he got signed off of that tour. That was maybe my biggest surprise, and really a proud moment for me because he was a former player I had coached in college, and to see him have that success. Now, he didn't make great money. It was middle-of-the-road kind of money for that league, but he got pro experience that probably if anybody had seen him play at community college or 4A level, they wouldn't have said he was a bad player, but they wouldn't have said, here's a future pro.
Right.
And so, again, if he was just here working out with whoever or playing in the Drew League or whatever it was, and he hadn't been able to go down there and get seen by guys in person and showcase a very specific skill but be tremendous at it, there is just no way he's going to get that deal.
Right. Now, you just said something that leads me to one of my questions is that, this guy, you get kids that play like at the Drew League or, different places. Where do you get a lot of the players from? Like you're expecting 15 players to come out next month. Mm-hmm. Now, out of those 15, are they major college players, small college, D2, D3? Is it mostly JC? What kind of kids are you getting?
Of the kids that I'm expecting that have in our communications have basically said I'm in on this deal, all of them are 4-year school guys. I don't have any that were straight out of junior college or anything like that, but a lot of low-level, kind of your Big West Division I schools where, they were a very good player, an all-conference kind of level player, and they're just looking for that opportunity to see where they can stick. And, I'll tell you, when I coached in Mexico, you had a certain number of Americans or non-Mexican players that you could have on your team, imports. And our imports were one of a couple things. It was those, mid-level D1 guys. I had guys who played at Weber State, I had one from Utah, Louisiana Lafayette, so those kind of level of schools. Or the other thing you had was those were the guys that in the beginning of their career. And if they played well in that league, some of them have since moved on to better, higher-paying leagues in Europe and whatnot.
Right.
Then the other thing we had was some guys who had NBA experience who were on the downside of their career. Had a guy who had played 3 years with the Wizards and it was down playing with me. And then had another guy who had a handful of 10-day contracts in the NBA. He played at Rice University, and he was down playing for me. And so you had a little bit of both. You had guys that had been at a very high level, but maybe were on the downside, and now were just keeping it going. And you had guys that were on the upswing of their career. I think this academy really is going to be geared towards those guys.
Yeah, because I can imagine like with the obsession, the adaptation of the D League. getting a lot of those players that, you know, aren't going to go pro and don't know what their next move is going to be after, like, 2 or 3 years that they could be there, maybe 4, that they could be in the D League, then, you know, that would be an option for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. There's actually a lot of crossover between the D League and the Mexican League, bouncing back and forth. And you would think, well, how can that be? I mean, they're not maybe at the same level. And the good teams in Mexico pay better than the D League does. The D League does not pay their players well.
The D League doesn't pay well at all. But people do it. I've had so many players that have had to make that choice over the years, but you know, they do it because they think they can get to the NBA faster, get a call up.
And I think there's something to be said for that. I mean, you have proximity is the biggest advantage. You have the visibility of being in this country, being in that developmental league. Now, if you want to make a little bit more money and maybe transition into Europe, then you're looking at, you know, Mexico or the leagues. But there was a lot of crossover, and it was that I could just see the debate players were having in their mind. Should I make a little bit more money, or should I stay kind of closer to the NBA umbrella, be under that NBA umbrella? And that's, you know, that's a kind of a personal decision, whatever. It's a tough call. But there is definitely a lot of crossover. I don't know if that was exactly your question, but from the D League to the league in Mexico. And I hope that when guys feel like their time is up in the D League, that maybe there will be a market for me to step in and say, hey, come join our academy. Let's look at other options for you. And listen, if you hired the guy who worked out in Norvell and you said, I want to work out with you 3 times a week, how much do you think that would come to over the course of a month?
It would be several thousands of dollars.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if my academy doesn't end with you getting a pro contract, which of course is possible, then at least at a minimum, you're going to have 3 workouts a week with a guy who's been a pro coach, and I'd be working on very specific kind of pro skills. And you can take that with you, and you can get it at a great price. Now, what I'm hoping is on top of that, with the fact that we're going to go down and do this tour in Mexico, that it will, for a lot of guys, end in an opportunity. And
it has before when you've done this.
Yeah.
The last tour, you had 6 of the 9 guys get signed down there. Listen, it's Jesse, it's been great to have you on the show, and I really think that your professional basketball academy is going to be a big hit, and it's going to help a lot of young men realize their dreams of playing pro basketball at some level. The website is asibasketball.com. Again, the phone number, if you want to contact Coach Jesse Teplitsky, is 310-741-2261. Jesse, good luck with this endeavor. I know that we'll be seeing you around soon, and you know, I'll be following how this professional basketball academy that you have progresses and helps these guys.
You might want to have them on right after their June trial.
Yeah,
probably after they take their tour
in September. Yeah,
in September.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, bring them back on, Chris, after they've taken their tour down to Mexico, and we
see how everything went.
Yeah, see how everything went. We can talk about it. So yeah, that'd be great. Listen, let me take a short commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have our second guest on, who's just arrived in studio and is waiting to get on the air. And I'm always excited to have one of my favorite guests. He's almost become sort of a co-host to a certain degree.
He might be our unofficial third co-host.
I've got
definitely one of our favorites.
Yeah, I've got and a brilliant guy. I've got from the John Wooden Award himself. I've got Coach Ernest Baskerville coming on. Okay, so hang tight, Ernest, and we will be right back after this commercial break. This is Coach Miller, excited to tell you about the Student Athlete Lab. This is an NCAA-approved recruiting service. I'll tell you what, if you're a coach at a university or a junior college, you will want to join and get membership in the Student Athlete Lab. It's only $250 a year. Hey, but if you're a student athlete, it's free. Go to studentathlete.lab.org and you'll create a profile. You'll be part of this wonderful app called the Player Locator. This Player Locator allows any university coach to track you and know where you're playing and when you're playing next. This is revolutionary technology in use in basketball recruiting. You couldn't ask for anything more. Follow the Student Athlete Lab on Twitter at the SA Lab. You will not be disappointed. Join the Student Athlete Lab right away and don't miss out on being recruited.
State champs, high school and JC. He was the first coach to do it in California history. Coach Miller, he can beat any team. Got shooters on the court and dunkers dunk everything. He got to win, so the plan is defeat. Been coaching on the court before he turns 18. From 08, going down to 93, he was the conference champs, home of the LACC. Youngest coach to beat 500 teams, 43. Everybody can't do it like he. A coach is something he was destined to be. Now we got a radio show to discuss some things, talking informative conversations. Listen to the real. Tuesday and Friday at night from 10 to 12. A live show, tune in and listen well. Special guests and take audience calls as well.
Hey, it's Coach Miller. You're listening to my show, Time Out with Coach Miller. I want to talk to you today about my favorite car dealership located in beautiful Hollywood, California. It's called Gem Motors. Gem Motors is located at 5639 West Sunset Boulevard. If you want a high-end automobile that's at a great price, whether it's a BMW, a Mercedes, a Jaguar, or a Porsche, go to my friends at Gem Motors. They have a beautiful indoor dealership located at 5639 West Sunset Boulevard, right across from Home Depot. Go see my friends at Gem Motors. Tell them Coach Miller sent you and get a special discount. The phone number is area code 323-962-9696. 323-962-9696.
16 made a dream with this basketball. Coach Miller on the court, and we going hard. Pass the rock to the paint. I give him my order, be like Chris Paul, shoot the 3-point, y'all. Look, it's time out with Coach Miller. 14 straight conference championships, we winners. It don't stop from the bottom to the ceiling, cause all I know is win and we winning. Full focus, we got a topic to discuss. High school, prep school, small colleges, yup. Another special guest today, listen up. It might get a little hectic from the stuff we discuss.
Okay, we're back. We're live on the air. Welcome back to Time Out with Coach Miller. Exciting night tonight. We have our second special guest on tonight now, Ernest Baskerville from right across the street, Chris.
Really right across the street.
We share a parking venue sometimes, don't we, Ernest?
Yes. Yeah, we do. Right across the street.
And we share some of those big rats.
They're huge.
That are outside.
That's why he saw me standing across the street. I didn't want to get attacked by them.
And they're always on this side of the street.
They're always on your side.
On your side of the street.
They're never on my side. That's why I was standing on the other side of the street. They're big.
You guys don't feed them, or what's going on? Why are they over here?
We brush them over to your side.
Oh, okay.
They're big. So, Clarence, when you went downstairs to get Coach Baskerville, he was standing across the street?
Uh-huh. He was on his way back on the other side.
Okay.
And the funny thing is, I park in the parking lot on your side of the street below you guys, or above you guys, and I never see any rats over there. Oop. But the parking lot on this side, next door to us,
they run in there. I literally watched 4 of them run around in the lot while I was standing across the street.
They run our parking lot.
It's like apparently. A game. Yeah.
They run our. One of them tried to charge me $2.
I bet he did
the other day.
He wanted to go get something to eat.
Yeah. We got big rats down here, but right across the street from Skidrow Studios, we have the downtown
Los
Angeles Athletic Club, and that is where you work full time, and you are in charge of basically the John Wooden Award.
Yeah,
and basically, that's what it is. And so, last time we had you on, we talked about Wendy's and how much I enjoy Wendy's fast food compared to any other fast food. It's healthier. It's more expensive too, by the way, but it's
good though.
It's good. It's healthy, and and they are one of your prime sponsors of the John
They are the
Wooden
primary,
Award.
probably the primary sponsor for our men's award.
That's right. That's
and
right.
our gala that we had a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Now next year I want to be at that gala.
We'll definitely work on that.
I'm there.
We got you.
As a member of the media, I'm there.
There you go.
You know, I'm there.
I had a media pass for you this year.
Yeah.
So we'd have to dust the
we know we were
textiles?
going to let Chris in, but
Well, you know,
'cause we had all you can eat.
Yeah.
Oh man, I wouldn't have ate a lot. I'd have just would have came.
Chris is a little. We were talking about it before the show. When he played for me, he was a senior in high school. He played for me for 2 years, but when he graduated, he was 215 pounds. And I joked with him. I said, "You're a little more than that now, right?"
Yeah. But, you know, we're in the gym right now. We're in the gym. We're at the Rose Bowl right now.
We all picked up a little bit.
Yeah,
I was
you know.
165 in high school.
Yeah, but see, you're still working. You work at a club where you can work out at every day. So
I've been, I played ball all this week, man. I'm paying for it.
And
my knees are killing me.
you know what? I really want to get back to start playing basketball, but like I'm so scared because I've broke both feet twice and tore ligaments in both feet. And my doctor advised me, he said, your next injury is probably going to be an Achilles. And when he said that,
Dude, I'm not looking forward to that.
Yeah, that pretty much scared me.
But that's why I'm trying to slim it down.
Can I give you some advice as your former coach?
Yes, sir.
Really, I'm not just your former coach. I'm still your coach.
Right.
Can I give you some advice?
Go for it.
Hey, you shouldn't try to play basketball until you're back down to let's say under 250.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I trust me. I have no desire to pick up a ball right now.
Okay. All right.
Doing the hills at the Rose Bowl is enough.
Okay, I got you. Well, what's enough is we had a great John Wooden Award program this year and a great group of young men that were nominated. And we've had you on the show a couple of times and we've talked about it leading up to it. And now it's time to talk about it. You know, I mean, and basically, Chris, it's kind of a unique thing that we can get, you know, the guy who's really, you know, putting the event on and in charge of it,
right,
in charge of the program, in charge of the award. We get him on the air and talk about it and talk a little bit. Now that it's over, we can kind of get Ernest to kind of spill some of the beans a little bit, right? And
yeah, because I couldn't talk about a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff.
I just couldn't talk about who I liked. You remember you asked me who did I like, who I thought was going to win.
Right.
Yeah, but you know, now you can talk a little bit more. We can get at it a little bit. Okay, so let's talk about it. First, Chris, go ahead. Chris has a lot of questions for you, Ernest. He's been bugging me to get you on the show for a month. Go ahead, Chris.
For
I'm
our
gonna let you start
listeners,
off.
who won the Wooden Award this year?
Doug McDermott from Creighton.
And well deserved.
I think he was the best player.
He did the what we call the trifecta. He won all the top awards, just like Trey Burke won last year.
Right. Right. Yeah. And that's good because, you know, he stayed for all 4 years. You know, he wasn't one of these one and done guys, you know, even though he went to a, you know, what they want to call a mid-major now. But, you know, that I was really happy that he did win because he is, I think he's going to be a really good player.
Yeah, I was following him on Twitter, and I was reading some of the stuff they were saying about him at the Chicago pre-draft camp, how they were shocked that he showed up with like a 35-inch vertical, and you know, his speed was a lot faster than people thought. He really knows the game well. You know, he plays for his dad. His dad is a great guy, great coach. I mean, they are an amazing family. You know, the last 2 years we've had two great families to host as the winners of the award, with Trey Burke and his whole family that came last year, and then McDermott brought the whole. We call it the McDermott clan because he came with 11 people.
Right. Did he have a brother?
Yeah, his brother and sister, and then his parents. They all came out, and then he had like most of the coaching staff, family members. Everybody came, and it was really nice, you know, to host them. And the whole group of guys that we had were really good. We had all 5 finalists show up. We had McDermott, we had Jabari Parker, we had Russ Smith, we had Clay Anthony Early, and we had Nick Johnson. And then we hosted Adrian Payne because he won our humanitarian award. It's called the Los Angeles Athletic Club Outreach Award, which we gave to someone that does something well in the community. We did his for his relationship with Lacey, the young girl that battled with cancer and actually passed away the week of the award. And we didn't think he was going to show up. And I was real sensitive about reaching out to him and to Michigan State, and because it happened on a Tuesday,
right?
And he was supposed to fly in on Thursday, and late Wednesday night they said, hey, Adrian said he's going to come. So we were really excited that he was coming, but fully understood if he didn't.
Right.
And he's the greatest guy.
Now, we're talking Adrian Payne right now.
Adrian Payne.
Now, did he come out and was he hosted with the other recipients at the same time?
Yes.
The other 5 finalists?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go over the 5 finalists again one more time. You just slow it down for
Doug McDermott, who won the award.
Right.
We had Jabari Parker from Duke. We had Nick Johnson from Arizona. We had Russ Smith from Louisville and Cle Anthony Early from Wichita State. Those were the 5. They were what we call the top 5 vote getters. And it ends up being our Wooden Award All-American team.
Now, was that the 5 that you thought? I mean, out of that 5, how many did you think would end up in that 5, and how many?
That 5 was pretty solid from what we were seeing most of the year with votes. I mean, another person that was really high on it would have been Shabazz Napier. Shabazz had what happened with him also, he had a great tournament. And that's what really helped Trey toward the end is, Trey had been doing well all year last year, but that tournament run he had really kind of put him over the top. And, a lot of our guys went out early. If you look at the 5 guys that were at the end, especially, the guy, top 5, that top 5, but Duke went out in the first round, so Jabari was done.
Right.
McDermott went second round. I think they went out second game, second round. Arizona made it to Elite 8. Louisville got put out in the Elite 8, and then Wichita State got put out in the second round.
Right.
So, we were watching the tournament without pretty much all the guys playing.
Right.
And that kind of made it interesting because, we go to the Final Four and we present the award. We announced the award at the Final Four. So we had to get there, and Doug had so much going on. So he was all the other awards trying to grab him, and, he was doing interviews everywhere. But, man, he was, like I said, he was so humble, and he was excited to win the award. And
that means a lot, doesn't it, to you and the people that, your club, the Downtown LA Athletic Club that sponsors the award. It means a lot when the student athlete is humble and excited about being there. Isn't that right?
Yes. And, because that's what you want. You want someone that appreciates what you've bestowed upon them by giving them this award. But at the end of the day, they earned it. But you would like them to be excited that they earned your award. And so we were really happy. And like I said, I know I keep saying the last 2 years because the last 2 years, that's how long I've been involved. The last 2 years, we've had 2 great winners. And like I said, this year, he's a great kid. And we talk about text all the time.
Nice. Now let's talk a little bit more about Doug McDermott before we, Chris has got a million questions for you. But, he had a great season. He was the best player in college basketball.
I think he was the best all-around player in college. The freshmen got most of the
hype. But Chris, this is the thing about him, and Coach, you attest to this because you've had tons of players. He was the most consistent.
Right, throughout the whole year.
All the guys had even Wiggins had a bad game here and there. Parker went through a little stretch. If you want to talk about the freshmen, someone that was hot on the list for a long time was Marcus Smart. He took that dip once he had the incident, was suspended. Right. So there were guys that had
kind of who I thought was going to win it at the beginning of the year. I mean, going towards until he had that
especially
incident.
Because last year, this is the thing about McDermott. Remember, he was one of our 5 finalists last year.
Right.
And so he's the first player since I think, and he was one of the finalists 3 years. So he didn't come last year. And I said, okay, I think this dude is going to do well. He, at the beginning of the year, he said, I'm hoping that, I can be there at the end. I went and saw him at the Wooden Legacy. And he said, I'm hoping to be there this year. Hopefully I can continue to play well.
Right.
And he did all year.
Okay, now, let me ask you this, though, Chris. Doug McDermott, where do you see him in the NBA?
I think he's going to be a lottery pick. I mean, personally, I think he's going to be a lottery pick because a lot of I listen to a bunch of different shows, and some shows are comparing him to saying he might be a bust because he's a white guy. Comparing him to what's the kid from Gonzaga that came out?
The one that played for the Lakers and for Charlotte. Oh man, Adam Morrison.
Yeah, Keith Van Horn, but he's a lot more athletic than these guys.
He's tougher than Adam Morrison. Adam Morrison wasn't very tough,
and he could shoot better than all of them.
And he rebounds.
Right. He's not afraid to go in there and get dirty. And
now Van Horn was nice. Van Horn did all those things. Just at some point, he just kind of he faded out.
Now,
I think Doug can do well.
The better comparison, I think, for him is for an NBA comparison is more of a Tracy Murray, you know. But I mean, that's how I look at him. Now, let me ask
Tracy Murray that could more athletic and that could jump.
Yeah. But I mean, shooting wise, you know, Tracy Murray. Now, let me ask you this. So I asked you, Chris. You said lottery pick. Okay, I'm going to just go around in order. Clarence, where do you see Doug McDermott in the NBA?
Same thing Chris said.
Lottery pick?
Yeah.
Okay, Jesse, where do you see him? NBA.
I think you guys are on the right track. I think he's lottery pick. I think he's going to be kind of towards the bottom end of the lottery pick,
Right.
but it's a lottery pick.
Maybe 8 through 12,
Right.
somewhere around there.
Okay, Ernest, where do you see?
I would say the same. And
Or should you not answer because of political reasons?
Well, no, but I feel he's going to be a lottery pick. What if I say, I think he's a second-round pick? No, I'm not saying that. I think he's a lottery pick. I think if he gets to the right team, has the right workout with the right team, and it also depends on this. You know, certain people are going to like him. If you're thinking you're going to get a ping pong ball at like 12 and you like him, but you get 5, do you still say, okay, I'm going to take him at 5 and look at who the other people are? Especially if he fits what your needs are, what you're looking for.
Right.
You know,
I would say this. I'm feeling lottery pick, and I really like him. I want you to know that I really like him, but I think he's low end of the lottery pick.
Oh, yeah,
I
definitely.
don't see anyone. I don't see any NBA taking him with a top 10 pick. I think he's after the top 10.
I think maybe 8 through 12 because there's 12 lottery picks. So I think somewhere around that 8 through 12 range.
Well,
but like you just said, if there's a team that's you know thinking they're going to get 10 and they get 4 or 5, what happens?
And it also depends on, like I said, how he works out at the camp this week.
Right.
Because people are seeing right now that he's more athletic than they thought he was. You know, he can shoot from deeper than they thought he did. Remember, he was in a system where the ball was coming to him a lot. He was getting shots up, but he didn't have to show a lot of other skill sets because he had other people that would do things.
Right.
Now he's at the camp doing the other things that he can do. He can mess around and be a top 3 pick. You never know. It all depends on what people look. And I see your reaction, Coach, but I'm just saying you never know what's in NBA GM's mind. But
it's hard for me to ever see him as a top 3 pick when you've got the 2 guys from Kansas, okay,
and Jabari Parker,
and you got Jabari Parker. So I mean, it's hard for me to ever see him as a top 3 pick. And
so,
see, the
so
reality
if you have those
is,
3, who's next, Coach?
Well,
who's 4?
Marcus Smart. Because here's the thing: at the end of the day, the NBA is a forgiving league when it comes to misbehavior in college if you can play.
Yeah.
I mean, the NBA looks at like, well, this is a business.
Kenyon Martin, Nick Van Exel.
You know, Marcus Smart can play. Then you start to look at, you know, Julius Randle. I mean, you know, you've got to look at the, you
don't like Exum, the kid from Australia?
Well, he's an X factor because nobody's really.
Yeah, but
I mean,
once again, those workouts. I'm getting a lot of calls from the workouts.
Right.
He has like a 7-foot wingspan.
That's what they
and
said.
He's 6'4".
See, here's the thing. When I don't know the foreign guys, I don't really talk about them that much because the reason why I didn't bring him up is I have never seen him play and I don't really know about him. Now, you're connected in some circles, you're hearing about him, but I'm going to stick to the guys I know, okay? And then I'm going to tell you that Gary Harris in Michigan State probably should have been in your Final 5 to come in for the John Wooden Award, in my opinion. But, you know, I love Michigan State, and I love their system. I love their coach. I think he's the best coach in college basketball by far. And, you know, and so I'm a little biased. But, I mean, was he close to being a finalist or not?
You know what? I don't remember the numbers of the votes.
Okay.
I think he was in the top 10, but I'd have to go look.
Okay.
But like when you were talking about, you know, who might be next, because there's a lot of questions about, you know, guys that might be the top couple picks. I mean, I just heard today that Parker came in 15, 20 pounds overweight. You know what I mean? So, you know, that's kind of might be turning some teams off. You know, some guys maybe not as big as they thought they were. So, you know, anything can happen between now and time to draft.
Okay, now talking about Jabari Parker, let's go to him next because he was a finalist. So, Chris, do you see him as a top 3 pick?
Oh, definitely.
No question, right?
No question. It's either going to be depending on what team it is,
Hopefully the Lakers.
Hopefully the Lakers, but the kid from Kansas, Embiid, I think he might get picked over him just because height wise, but I think no more than top 3.
Okay, so top 3 for sure.
Top 3 for sure.
Now, Clarence, you're next. Is Jabari Parker top 3 for sure?
Yeah, I say he had top 3
for sure. Is there any chance he could go? See, I'm asking a different question now because I mean it's evident that he's that good a player. Is there any chance he could fall past the top 3 to 4 or 5?
He can get better.
But do you think he'll drop?
No.
So he'll be top 3 for sure. Jesse?
I mean, I'll defer to the experts, and everybody seems to think he's going to be a top 3. I have no reason, no knowledge of any inside information that would make me think otherwise. I would say this, though, and I want to get your guys' take on this after we go around the room on Jabari maybe, but it seems to me that this is now a guards league and a guards game, really. It's trickled down. And I'm wondering at what point does the draft emphasis reflect that? Like Embiid at Kansas, he's a big guy, right? Big, tall guy. But it just doesn't seem to me that dominant post players are winning championships. Who's the best post player in the league right now?
Well, I'll take it one step further. Is Shabazz Napier this year, right? Division I basketball. We'll trickle down. Go forget about the NBA for a minute, right, Ernest? Mm-hmm. What he just said is true there. I mean, how good was UConn's big guys?
Right.
I mean, very average, right?
The guards carried them.
I mean, did they have a guy average double figures up front for UConn?
I don't think they
I mean,
did.
they win a national title because of the point guard. Okay, so your point is well taken, but let's get back to Jabari Parker. Top 3 for sure, Ernest? No question. Can he go lower than top 3?
I'm going to tell you why. If you notice how everyone has drafted, especially with the top 5 picks in the last few years, it's now become, I'm going to draft a guy on potentially what I feel he can be.
Right.
Potentially where I think, he may take our team.
Which would get him out of the top 3. Because I think Wiggins, might move his... So he's a better player than Wiggins, but Wiggins might have better potential than...
Okay,
Parker.
But I don't see him falling past 3 because you don't want to be the guy to say, "Man, I wish I would have picked him."
Right. That's what I'm getting to. That's what I'm getting to is that so much when Sam Bowie came out, okay,
he was a great player,
right? But it was like, well, we have, he was injury prone, but even in college he was injury prone. Well, we have to take him. We don't want to be known as the team that didn't take the 7'1" guy. And then we're going to look stupid. And so I think you've got a little bit of that going with Jabari Parker. And I think Ernest, is kind of, maybe he didn't say it that directly, but I'm picking up what you're laying down. Let me tell you.
I'm just speaking about they drafting potential. I think he's a top 3 pick. Now, I'm gonna tell you the other great thing about him that I didn't speak about earlier. He's a great person. And,
right. I get that.
And I know we talked about this is a league where they draft certain people. This dude is the kind of person you want on your team. Mm-hmm. This is the kind of person you want around you, period. And I just think that just the person that he is going to exude in his game. And you'll see. And I'll tell you this. If someone doesn't take him, they're going to pay for it.
Okay. Now, let me go to the next guy, Nick Johnson. Chris, where do you – well, before I do, I want to do this. Let's go back to Jabari because clearly of the 5 finalists, he's going to be the top guy picked. Okay. Jesse, give me an NBA comparison, current NBA player for Jabari Parker.
You hate to do this because you're going to say a player that's an established all-star in the NBA, and then you say, is that really fair for a kid who's
I don't care if it's fair.
Carmelo Anthony.
Okay. Chris, you got that?
Yeah.
You feeling that?
A poor man's KD, Kevin Durant, but our Carmelo type.
I think the fact that he can score in multiple ways and he seems to be a score-first kind of a player.
Right, can get to the basket.
That's what made me say that on the spot.
Okay, I was going to say Paul Pierce, but can get to the bucket.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, see, I like that comparison better. I like the Paul Pierce comparison better. I really do. I think he's a lot more like Paul Pierce than Carmelo. I mean, and so but they're both good. But I like that one. I think that nails it. Now let's go to Nick Johnson. Chris, where do you see Nick Johnson being drafted?
Well, I don't think he's the best player on his team, first of all. So, because I personally like Aaron Gordon better.
And Arizona had a great run. They won the Pac-10, right?
Pac-12.
No. It's the Pac-10 plus 2 teams from the Mountain Time Zone. That's what we call it here. It's the Pac-10 plus 2 teams from the Mountain Time Zone. Okay, so Arizona won the Pac-10, right, Chris?
Right.
And they won.
No. UCLA won they won the tournament
outright.
Yeah.
They won the regular season.
They won the regular season tournament.
And UCLA won the tournament.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But Arizona went furthest in the NCAA, correct?
Right.
I mean, they went almost all the way to the Final Four.
Okay. Lost to Wisconsin.
And so, in a great game.
Great game. Wisconsin, every game Wisconsin played from that point out was a great game.
Every game. I agree. Now, Chris, let's get back. We're running out of time. We got to still cover some ground here. Tell us where you project out
Nick Johnson would be, I think, low first round. They got him projected second round, so I'll say low first round, early second round.
Okay. Clarence, do you know Nick Johnson? Did you see Arizona play? Did you see Nick Johnson play?
I've seen him play like once, twice. I really didn't get a chance to study him, really.
Okay. Well, do you have any idea of where you would see him being drafted in the NBA?
Nah, I really don't.
Okay. Good, honest answer. Jess?
You know, I'm a little bit with Clarence. I don't know. This is what I think happens in the NBA draft is early on in the draft, you pick on best player.
Right.
It's even different than, being a sports fan in general. The NFL is very much, they will pass up the best player if that's not a position of need.
Right.
In the NBA, I don't think that happens, at least not as much. I mean, I think it's the best guy you can get.
Right.
Now, once you get past, I would say, the first maybe 20, 22, 23 picks, I think then it becomes, what
best
do we
player.
need?
Right.
Best player at a position of need.
Right.
And that's what makes me a little unsure about Nick. I don't know who is going to fall in that place where they say that's the position we need.
We'll find out in 40 days.
Yep.
We'll find out in 40 days. So, Ernest, where do you see Nick Johnson getting picked?
Well, I will defer to the experts, and they're saying he's going to be somewhere in the late first round, somewhere in the 20s.
Okay.
But I know I keep saying the same thing, but it goes back to how these guys will work out.
Right.
Because we've seen in the past where a guy they've said is a second round pick, he jumps to the first round. We've seen guys that's supposed to be lottery picks jump into the second round.
Okay, I'm gonna go out on a limb here, and I'm gonna say he's definitely not a first round pick, and will not get picked in the first round. Definitely, and I'm willing to bet. Anybody here a steak dinner if you want that bet.
No.
Ernest, steak dinner. Morton's is right around the corner.
I don't bet.
You don't bet. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that
Can't bet on my guys like that, man.
I like that answer. You're always so good with your answers, man. You're one of the smartest guys I know. You don't get enough credit, man.
I get a lot of my smarts from my wife and my best friend. He's a lawyer. He's my lawyer. The Benjamin Law Group.
Okay.
Niall Benjamin, great dude.
Okay. Lionel Benjamin?
Niall Benjamin.
Oh, Niall Benjamin.
Played football at Cal.
That's right.
Played wide receiver at Cal.
Okay, nice. I like that. What kind of law does he specialize in? Give him a plug.
Well, you know what? The Benjamin Law Group does a lot of legal things for everyone. They specialize in personal injury law and also in employment law.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's nice.
Right out here in Los Angeles, still all up and down California. You have his office here in Los Angeles and in San Francisco.
Okay, so you've learned a lot from him. It sounds like over the years, your association with him.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you show it because you're one of the smartest guys I know, and you have great answers every time. And I'm going to say, Jesse, he will definitely not be a first-round pick. Take that to the bank. Now, we've got
based on my bank account, if you would have made the bet Outback Steakhouse or something, maybe I would have jumped on. Well, as soon as he said Morton's, I said I'm out on that. Yeah.
That's why as soon as he said that, I kind of
okay. I'm picking up what you're laying down. Now let me ask you about Russ Smith. Chris, where do you see Russ Smith?
Let's see. I'm actually kind of cheating right now because I am.
No, you don't get to cheat. You don't get to cheat. Okay, who wants to jump in on Russ Smith? Jess? Is he a first-round pick? Let me just ask the question that way.
Yeah, I think he is.
You do?
Yep.
Okay. Ernest?
He's one.
Once again, I think he's first round pick. See, this is my thing though. I think all of the guys, all 6 guys I had there, where it had our women's award winner, she was the number 1 pick in the draft. So I'm already 1 for 1. So then the other 6 guys, I feel that all of them are going to be in the first round. I just think that some are going to be toward the end, and there's going to be some that will surprise you and be a little higher.
Okay, Clarence, did you see Louisville play this year? Or last year and see their guard Russ Smith?
I seen him play one time.
And where do you see him? Do you see him as a first round or a second round pick?
He could be either or.
I agree with you, but I'm going to say second round. Chris, what do you got for me on this?
Looking at him, I remember him playing.
What are the experts saying?
Actually, the 2 sites I just looked at, they didn't even have him on the board. But he might come get a second round.
Yeah, I mean that's why I started with the question: is he a first round pick? Because I don't think he is. So okay, and so he may be the guy of this group, and this is what I'm trying to kind of drill down to, Chris. Of the 5 finalists, I think he's probably the guy that's the least likely to get drafted, right?
Right.
Of the 5 finalists. And then we finally finish up with Clay Anthony Early, who I love. I think he's a winner. And I think he proved that at Wichita State.
He's an athlete, dude.
Yeah.
Very good athlete.
He's good.
And he was not intimidated by any of those big schools in the tournament. I mean, he took it to a bunch of teams. I think he's definitely a first round pick.
I do too, although I think the NBA experts are going to kind of shy away from him in the at least the first half of the first round. I think he'll probably be a very late first round pick, but I do think he's a first. I like him. Like if I was drafting, I'd probably draft him higher than he'll be drafted because I think he's a winner. You got an NBA comparison for me, Chris?
Probably.
By the way, he's a JC guy too, right, Ernest?
A LaMarcus Aldridge type. Not as physical, but kind of like an Aldridge type.
Okay, that's interesting.
I was thinking more Iman Shumpert.
I like that.
He's an athlete.
Yeah.
He can score. He plays defense. So
I like that. I give you an A, young man.
Appreciate it.
I give you an A. Jesse, where do you see this guy being drafted?
You make sense to me. Both, I think late first round, early second round. I think it's weird to say, but I think there are people that shy away because it's Wichita State.
Oh, absolutely.
And they're going to
say, and because he's a JC guy.
Well, and they're going to say numbers are inflated because of who he plays against in the league.
And they will shy away from him because he's a JC guy.
Whatever baggage that may come with.
Okay, that he did 2 years, right? Just 2 years at Wichita State?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah,
I know he's a JC guy.
Yeah, so I think that'll cause some NBA people to shy away from him as well.
Ernest, I wanted to ask you, how much stock, I mean, you're making it sound like there's a tremendous amount of stock put into the numbers, the raw data on athleticism at the workouts.
I think at the workouts they look at that a lot. The people I've spoken to seem like they look at these things. It's similar to how in the NBA right now they put such an emphasis on the PER ratings. I think that a lot of people look at that and they say it's kind of like the combine. Like, oh, did you see what the dude scored at the combine? Well, it is. It's the NBA combine. Like, did you see what this dude did at the combine? So I think some people are going to have a great workout and maybe get drafted too high. There's going to be some people that just, it's not their day that day and they have a bad workout and they get drafted lower than they should.
That seems like a new phenomenon in a lot of ways because I think...
we didn't use it years ago. They used it years ago.
I mean, it was always, before it was like, does he have a good feel for the game? How does he play team basketball, or how can he help fit into whatever pieces we already have? And it almost seems like it's falling into the NFL model where they have a combine, everything is strictly measured, and there's an equation there. And even I think in baseball they start, like kind of the Moneyball model where it's very numbers based rather than kind of getting that feel for how a guy plays or feel for the game or whatever term you want to put.
I read something today where I'm trying to remember which player it was, but they said, he said in his interview with one of the teams, they gave him a clipboard and said, it's the end of the game, 5 seconds left, draw up a play. So, I mean, they want to see how a person thinks.
Right.
I mean, I want to know if he said, I'm trying to remember which team it was, but let's say it was like the Celtics. Is he going to say, we're going to get the ball to Rajon? Or is the ball going to be in my hands? I mean, I want to know what the guy's saying. So that's interesting to see how a guy thinks.
Depending on what team
he thinks,
he's
I'm a
on.
rookie, I'm going to come in, I'm going to take that last shot.
Right.
I mean, so I guess they're really challenging them.
What I do and I think it's a great idea to try to learn how a player thinks. What I do to do that is I like to play chess with them, and one-on-one. And the game isn't a quick game generally, and you can kind of see how their wheels are turning, how they're thinking. And I suggest all coaches keep a chessboard in their office and break it out and play a game of chess with different players at different times, especially with guards, point guards, and guards, guys that are going to be handling the ball, because you want to see how their mind works, and that's how I think you can tell how their mind works really, really in depth by looking at how they, because now you're asking them to do strategy, all over the board.
Send 2 and 3 moves ahead.
And you're asking them to see something in its entirety, not just in a small action of one play. But I think that's a great idea and a great story. Now, we have one more guy I want to talk about, and in particular about how he would be perceived by the NBA. That's Adrian Payne, because you brought him in. And again, it's really neat that you did that. And I'm going to let you tell a little bit about that story. We have a couple minutes, Ernest, to do this, so I don't want to rush through it because it's a great story. So tell the listeners a little bit about, the Adrian Payne story and the little girl that you were talking about, alluded to earlier, and then we'll talk about his basketball.
Well, Adrian ended up having a special relationship with a young girl named Lacey. He would bring her to his games. Actually, she was in Dallas for the Final Four. He wasn't, Michigan State wasn't in the Final Four, but he was in the dunk contest. And her family sat courtside. She was able to hold up the signs for 10 or 9 or 8 or whatever, whatever fell through. And they just had a really, really special relationship. And unfortunately, when she got back from the Final Four, she was sick. And she ended up passing away. They got back, I want to say her family got back either Sunday or Monday, and she passed away on Tuesday. And it really, really bothered. We had to do a lot of radio interviews, and we were over at 17 ESPN, and we had different shows calling my cell phone when to interview him. And I just felt for him because everyone was asking the same questions. How do you feel? How do you feel? How do you feel? Which is understandable because people want to know because he's the one that had the relationship with her. And I just really, I told him, if anything ever gets too much, tell me. I'll shut everything down for you.
Let me ask you,
he was very gracious to do all that.
Do you know, Ernest, how he developed the relationship with her? I mean, do you know how that came about?
His mom passed away of cancer when he was 13. And I forgive me for getting the introduction of he and her, but I know that apparently they took to each other right away. And her family, was really good with making sure that she was able to get to, his games when he invited her to all of them. And they just had a really special bond that and the thing about it is most athletes, they worry about themselves. They worry about, he was always concerned about her, always concerned about how she was doing, which shows the humility that he has.
Nice. Right. Yeah. What a great story. Now, he's more than just a feel-good story, though, Jesse, because he's a really, really fine player. Now, I mentioned earlier, Ernest, that I thought Gary Harris of Michigan State should have been probably in the group to come in and get hosted. I really felt he was one of the top players. And, I mean, I could make an argument that, well, I'm not going to put Ernest on the spot, but I could make an argument, Chris, that I don't expect Ernest to say anything right now because I know how he's very smart about this stuff. I could make an argument that he's better than Nick Johnson. He's better than Russ Smith, for sure, without any question. But I won't. I won't because I don't want Ernest to.
And you know what? And you're entitled to your opinion.
Okay.
And I know that we had opinions of just under 1,000 voters, and that's the people that ended up voting. And You know, because I don't even have a vote. I don't vote. You know,
and that's how you want to keep it. Switzerland. Keep it Switzerland.
Because I give you a perfect example. We can go across the street to my voicemail right now, and I save them because they're hilarious. Where people call me and go crazy that certain people aren't on the list. C.J. Warren, oh my God, T.J. Warren is so great. You see what he's doing? He, you know, blah blah blah, and you know, calling about anybody you can think of. I just threw his name out because I got yelled at the most about him, and the other guard name slips my mind. You may remember
Michigan?
Chris. No, from Providence. What's that guard's name? I remember this because he was first team Big East all last year. Blah blah blah, and the dude's name is slipping my mind right now. But I got tortured on the phone, by voicemail, live, however I got it, you know, and I just tell the people, you know, sir, I'm sorry, or ma'am, I don't vote. I'm just the director. There's voters out there that vote, but the best thing you can do is we have, you know, you're able to vote through our Wendy's voting site, and you can vote for your person every day.
Right.
You know,
as many days as you want.
Many days you want up until we close.
Okay. That's a great answer. That's a great answer. Now, but what I wanted to say is that probably Michigan State's second best player, and they had a really fine team. I mean, they were knocking on the door of going to the Final Four. Probably Michigan State's second best player was your guy, right?
Yeah.
Adrian Payne. I mean, more than likely, he's their second best player. He's a big man, and I feel like he's a very, very draftable guy. So let's talk about that. Chris, where do you see him going?
More than likely mid to late round. I mean, he is a big guy. And
mid to late first round.
Mid to late first round. You know, you have all these guys now, and I hate to say it. This is one reason why I hate basketball now, because you know, he's almost a 7-footer, and he doesn't want to play inside. He has a shot. And you know, he's not, you know, that explosive back to the basket, you know, give me a good post move and I'm gonna get it in there. But he was a really good player. I do remember watching a bunch of their games this year, and you know, I was very impressed by him. So I'm guessing mid to late first round.
Okay, I like that. I'm feeling that. Jesse, do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, he has size and athleticism, you know, and a lot of it. And that's so somebody I think would take him, if nothing else, just based on that.
Right.
And, you know, he is kind of what a lot of NBA teams are going to, which is kind of more of that stretch four.
Right.
And I think that'll probably land him somewhere, you know, a little higher than maybe what he would have gone had that not been the trend.
Yeah, more than likely. That's a great point. Ernest, where do you see him going from a basketball perspective? I know if it's a personality perspective, he's the number one pick in the lottery because what a great story and what a great young man. But from a basketball-only perspective, Ernest, where do you project him at?
Once again, with the experts, they have him in the mid to early late of the first round.
Okay.
And I really think that he can help someone. I mean, like I said, like Coach is saying next to me, he has the athleticism. He has the range on the jump shot to knock down the three. I mean, we do an event with the Special Olympics in Southern California on Saturday morning where we have Special Olympic teams come in and we have the players coach the kids. But in between, we had like a shootout. I mean, he hit 8 of 10 from the three-point line.
Wow.
And then on his first attempt, second attempt went 6 for 10, and the third attempt went 7 for 10. Wow. I mean, the dude can stretch the floor. I mean, he went 21 for 30. I don't have guards that can go 20 for 30 on my high school team.
Right. And let's give a little plug to your high school team while we have you on there, because I like your high school team. I like LaSalle High School. I like your high school. I've always liked LaSalle. I started out my head coaching career at Cathedral High School, which is the sister school to LaSalle. They're both run by the same order, which is the Christian Brothers, famous for making the brandy and the wine, Jesse, back in the day. But they used to give us a case of wine at Christmas. You know, when we were at Cathedral, all the teachers got a case of wine. It was their wine. They made it, you know. So anyway, LaSalle.
I thought he was joking. And in my head, I was like, "That sounds like a drink." Christian Brothers. You're serious?
Yeah, no.
I don't drink alcohol, so I don't know.
Brandy.
They'd give every teacher a case of wine for Christmas. It was I didn't drink then either, and so I'd give it away as gifts. Take out the case and give everyone gets a bottle of Christmas wine. But they are a sister school. They're both Christian Brothers schools, and what a great school.
It's a really good school. We have some great kids. One of my seniors is going to Marist.
Nice.
He's going to Marist College.
Wow.
Connor Williams. He actually played in the All-Star game that you and I were at together over at Bell Jeff. He had a great game, had 22 points. But he's going to try to go there and take a walk-on position. I spoke to the coaches. He knows what to do when he gets there, and really excited. He's a great kid. I mean, I have a great group of kids coming back. I have six players returning. And 4 starters, so that really helps,
And there may be 1 or 2 new guys that transfer in.
Maybe 1 or 2 new guys.
You never know.
You never know what happens. In Southern California basketball, I don't put
anything can happen at any moment.
I won't name the school, but when I was at Laces, I had a kid play with me on Friday. And Monday, he was at another high school in another uniform. I was like, could you at least send me my uniform back?
Right.
And playing, right?
Playing.
There you go.
Right away.
Yeah. That's the other thing that's interesting, and playing.
Yeah.
But
so, real quick about LaSalle, we're going to have a summer tournament, June 29th through July 3rd. We have some really good schools. We have, Loyola, Calabasas, the list can go on. We have Campbell Hall. We have a lot of really good schools that are going to participate. And we pretty much are saying that's the end of the summer, the true end of the summer tournament, because if you know, right after 4th of July, everyone starts playing AAU basketball. So if you want to see people with their main players, this is that last week you do it.
Yeah.
So if you
want to see a true high school team, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
A true high school team play. This is when you have to go see June 29th to July 3rd. That's at LaSalle.
That's at LaSalle. Yep.
Nice. All the games at LaSalle.
All the games are at LaSalle.
Okay. Good.
See, I will come to that tournament because I'm an outspoken critic of AAU basketball. I can't stand it. I remember when I played, it was, AAU was more for the elite players, and now it's just like any kid can play, which is, cool, but I don't think they get taught as well at that level that they do at, playing on their high school team. So
it's just there's more emotion playing on their high school team with the high school coach and the high school, teammates. I think it's just a better environment.
And I think it's better games too.
I think so. Well, that'll be exciting. So how many teams are in that event, Ernest?
Right now, I have 30.
30.
Still taking teams if anybody's looking.
Wait,
I give
30. How can you get 30 teams to play enough games in one gym?
Because it's over 6 days, over 5 days. It's going to work out.
It'll work out? Well, I know
so it's not a tournament format.
Not a tournament. So we're doing a more shootout style. I'm gonna set up game because, like we have teams that they're on a higher elite level, and then we have guys
just like your regular your tournament was that January or December.
Tomorrow.
No. Your Martin Luther King Day
event. Yeah, but we had a lot of really good high end teams there though. But what we're trying to do is set up games. So let's say I'll throw a name out. Like say like Loyola. Let's say Loyola says, "Hey, Ernest, we're gonna come. We're gonna play the 4 games. Give me 3 against some teams my level, and then give me 1 so my lower the end of the bench guys can make sure they get a lot of run too, or something something like that. Or a team that's a lower and say, hey, give me 1 big one that's over my head that I shouldn't be playing, and give me 3 guys that I can play against. So
nice.
So how many games are the teams?
Everybody's getting 4 games
over 4 days. No,
5 days.
5 days.
If I need another gym, man, I got everybody's at Ernest. You can use my gym. Everybody always wants.
For 30 teams, that's 15 games a day.
I'm sure I'm going to need another gym. Don't worry.
Yeah,
I'll name those other gyms later.
I think you got one right down the street that'd gladly take one.
Yeah, well, I reached out to them and they haven't called me back, so I have other gyms that I can use. Yeah.
You got 2 on the other side of town that might help too.
Yeah, well, if anyone can figure this out, it'll be Ernest. He knows how to figure this stuff out. But when he told me 30 teams, Chris, I was amazed.
I mean, that's 15 games a day right there. So, and if it's spread out over a couple of gyms, it might be crisscrossing Pasadena for a while.
Yeah.
Which is no problem for me.
No problem for you. Well, Ernest, it's great to have you in here. We're getting towards the end of our show, and it's awesome to talk about the John Wooden Award with you. I mean, you are the director of the award. You're right across the street. We've had you in the studio now a number of times, and we love having you in. It's always great. We always enjoy it, and we want to keep this relationship going. And next year, I think, Chris, I'm going to have to go to the awards banquet and ceremony. I just won't bring Chris because it is all you can eat, and I don't want to get get in trouble because
if you're going, I'm going.
I'm trying to think. See, the show is so late. What I may try to do one time is try to get one of the guys to call in.
That'd be nice.
Because I have great relationships with all the guys. Like last year's group, I talked to Otto Porter probably twice a week. Victor Oladipo like twice a week. Trey Burke probably
some
about
of them
once
might be
a
out
week.
here working out.
Yeah, so a lot of guys gonna be out here during the
Right.
summer working out. Like I know Victor's coming. He actually will be here in a couple of weeks.
And if they're out here, it'd be awesome to get them in studio where we can get them on the YouTube channel that we have and stuff. If possible, they come visit you.
Yeah, well they're gonna come to LaSalle and come to my camp for kids, and they're gonna speak and do some little workouts with the guys.
Yeah, that's nice, Ernest. And if they come visit you across the street, you can bring them over here if it's a Friday night, or if it's a little time in between, we can go out and grab something to eat and bring them over afterwards. It'd be great to start including some of the John Wooden Award guys that you've developed relationships with, on our Time Out with Coach Miller show. Yeah. So anyway, hey, two great guests tonight, Chris. We had, a lot of fun and a couple calls and kind of a really mixed show tonight. We had some calls. We had two guests, and
kind of went quick tonight. Forgot how hot it was in here, so
yeah,
that was a good thing. So.
Yeah. The rats will be outside waiting for us.
I'm gonna get across the street quickly.
Yeah, they'll be outside waiting for us, and they'll wave at you, Ernest, as you're running across the street to the beautiful downtown LA Athletic Club. Well, anyway, listen, Scott, appreciate you holding down the fort in the sound booth, and I'm going to let you close out the show with our theme song called Time Out with Coach Miller.
16 made a dream with this basketball. Coach Miller on the court, and we going hard. Pass the rock to the paint. I give him my all, or be like Chris Paul, shoot the 3-point, y'all. Look, it's time out with Coach Miller. 14 straight conference championships, we winners. It don't stop from the bottom to the ceiling, cause all I know is win, and we winning. Full focus, we got a topic to discuss. High school, prep school, small colleges, yup. Another special guest today, listen up. It might get a little hectic from the stuff we discuss. Welcome to the 500 Club. We the best, my whole team tough. Close to 100 Division Ones I built up. Dedication and hard work. Step up to the court, I'm like, who ready to lose first? 14 times champs every year earned. Feet to the court, let me get in my zone. Hands grip to the ball, let me get in control. Non-stop, can't quit, that's a winner's quote. I'ma just keep doing me, hear the crowd as they cheer. 18 out of 19, coach of the year. Time out with Coach Miller, listen clear. 2 times a week, listen to me on the ear. Over 30 wins, it was for 4 straight years. First to win state my high school and college career. Over 30 wins, it was for 4 straight years. First to win state my high school and college career. It's time out with Coach Miller. 14 straight conference championships, we winners. It don't stop from the bottom to the ceiling, cause all I know is win, and we winning. Full focus, we got a topic to discuss. High school, prep school, small colleges, yup. Another special guest today, listen up. It might get a little hectic from the stuff we discuss. state champs, high school and JC. He was the first coach to do it in California history. Coach Miller, he can beat any team. Got shooters on the court and dunkers dunk everything. He got to win, so the plan is defeat. Been coaching on the court before he turns 18. From 08, going down to 93, he was the conference champs, home of the LACC. Youngest coach to beat 500 teams, 43. Everybody can't do it like he. A coach is something he was destined to be. Now we got a radio show to discuss some things, talking informative conversations. Listen to the real. Tuesday and Friday at night from 10 to 12. A live show, tune in and listen well. Special guests and take audience calls as well.